biased to that, you know what I mean? And then he's all, and I'm like, Jesus. He looks like Thomas Sachs in the Roman side of Nathan. The way he knows that. It's amazing. Oh, she's from the philosophy department. That's Maria.
Hello everyone. You're very welcome to the inaugural event of the UCD Philosophy Society for the year 2013. I was there last year at this event in 2012. I can't say we had quite as many people at this.
Maria's account that when Carol and I got here without passports, it actually was a very nice gesture on the part of the Irish government to arrange it, because they knew that I was coming here as a guest of Amnesty International to speak at a campaign they were conducting, condemning the government for its participation in the last terror campaign, but they went ahead anyway. Well, you've seen the title, I guess. It's a question: can civilization survive really existing capitalism? In referring to really existing capitalism, I have in mind what really exists and is called capitalism, though whether that's what it should be called is another question. And the United States is the most important example for obvious reasons. The term itself, capitalism, is vague enough so that it can cover a great many possibilities. In fact, that's illustrated by the fact that it is used to describe the United States, U.S. economic system, which deviates quite crucially from market capitalism, free market capitalism, as indeed did Britain before it. And in fact, every other developed society. The only societies that could authentically be called capitalism are the ones that had free markets rammed down their throat by imperial powers. They're what we now call the third world, not least for that reason. It's worth bearing in mind how the scale of the departures of really existing capitalism from the official doctrine of free market capitalism. So keep to the United States to mention just a few examples. In the past 20 years, the share of profits of the largest 200 corporations in the United States has risen very sharply, partly as a result of the internet, which was supposed to have the opposite effect, but it's having the effect of intensifying the oligopolistic character of the core U.S. economy. So and in another sector, the largest banks with trillions of dollars of assets have repeatedly merged, become still larger. By now, the six largest ones largely responsible for the current global financial crisis, they've increased their assets from 18% of gross domestic product 20 years ago to 63% today. Oligopoly, of course, undermines markets. It leads to automatically to collusion to prevent price wars, which the competitors don't want, and to turn to mostly meaningless product differentiation to try to get people to buy their goods instead of someone else's identical ones. That's done through massive advertising. Advertising itself, which is a huge industry, maybe marketing, maybe a sixth of gross domestic product. Advertising is explicitly devoted to undermining markets. Taking an economics course, you know that markets are supposed to be based on informed consumers making rational choices, which is not exactly what you see if you turn on the television set. Creativity and innovation have also substantially been in the public sector, not much appreciated. We'll turn to Alan Greenspan. Back in the days when he was still revered as Saint Alan, that was before the crash that was caused in no small part by adherence to the fundamentalist market doctrines that he preached. Back then, in his glory days, he gave a speech to editors in which he extolled the wonders of our free market system with a system of free enterprise based on entrepreneurial initiative and consumer choice. But he made a mistake. He actually listed examples. Every example that he listed was a textbook case of the crucial role of the state sector all the way through. There was actually one exception, which was an instructive one in itself, namely transistors. Transistors were developed at a private laboratory, Bell Telephone Laboratories. And the lab was a great lab for a long time. That's when AT&T had a government-insured monopoly over telephone service. So could therefore impose monopoly pricing, had great resources, and could use them to establish a terrific lab. As soon as the company was broken up, the lab had to be dismantled. It's still there for itself, devoted to the short-term applications for the industry. Furthermore, the transistor development, though it did take place in the lab, was based extensively on wartime technology, Second World War technology, which was all in the state sector. And there was no market for high-end transistors. They were much too expensive. So therefore, the government bought 100% of it. The procurement, incidentally, is a major form of government subsidy to industry. Actually, there's a kind of an analog here in the way the core sectors of the Irish economy has developed, construction services, very substantially through government kind of procurement, paying them off to do things for which there's no demand. St. Alan's speech, incidentally, was at the same time when he was testifying to Congress and soberly explaining the wonders of the great economy that he was directing to great acclaim at the time, which he attributed to what he called growing worker insecurity. That is, intimidating workers so that they won't make any irrational efforts to try to keep wages up to inflation, let alone up to productivity, which they ought to be kept up to. That's an obvious contribution to the health of the economy under really existing capitalism. Computers and the internet, and in fact the basic components of the IT revolution, they were in the state sector for substantially for decades before they were handed over to private companies for marketing and profit. That includes the creative and innovative research and development, subsidies, procurement, and other devices. Again,